リンクスタート。
Why yes, link start. Yo, what's up everyone, Legend Begins here, and I am returning to something that I have done 3 years ago, believe it or not. This is the SAO Utils project, based on the popular anime Sword Art Online. So, this has been updated since my previous review/tutorial about 3 years ago, so we're going to go ahead and we'll see what changed around here. So, we can go ahead and try to pull up that downloads page so you guys can see where you can get this. Because, as you can see, we have quite a bit to talk about, and it looks pretty neat, especially that intro splash sequence. That was wonderful. Whoever decided to replicate that and actually did the job did a very, very good one. So let's go ahead and go to the SAO Utils project. You can easily get there through Google. You could just go to GP Beta if you'd prefer. Both sides are the same thing. However, the problem you'll run into is that, unfortunately, in some locations, the site does not work. It works fine on my cell phone. I can just go ahead and put up a screenshot on there. And as you can see, it works fine on my phone, but if I let this sit for a little while, we get a connection timeout error. So for some reason, it doesn't work on my desktop, it doesn't work on my laptop, it does work on my phone. But my phone is on data. As you can see, the site can't be reached. Error, connection timeout. So, my phone was on data, so it's just, for some reason, this IP can't connect. A lot of people have had connection problems in the past, so what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to go ahead and host the zip file, just for the portable version, which just means it's all in one little zip file. You don't have to install anything, you just click run and it goes. You could get the installer version, it's a little bit different. I'm not going to put that one online, just because I only have so much space in my Google Drive, but you guys are free to pick that up if you'd like it. If you don't, it's fine too. I understand that very much. I could have infected that. I didn't, just for the record. I am actually in that industry of security, and so I know enough about it to not actually, infect something that could be tied back to me, and I could get arrested for it, because that would be very stupid on my part. But what I will do for you guys is I'm going to go ahead and put the MD5 hash of the file in the description down below. And essentially what that is, it just shows that the file hasn't been modified after you've downloaded it. So at the very, very least, you'll know that the file that you receive is the same file that I uploaded. Of course, it's up to you whether or not you trust me, but I would say I'm a pretty trustworthy guy. I've been on YouTube for several years now. So, of course, it's all up to you. Trust me, don't trust me. But the file's online. You can scan it if you'd like. Don't have to. It's up to you. But if you can connect to the site, just download it from there. So that aside, I'm going to go ahead and show everything off. Of course, it has a cool startup, and right now I have every single widget available up and running on my desktop. You can drag them around, move them however you'd like, and it's pretty neat. You can move all of these in whatever sort of direction I'd like. And so it's a very, very interesting project because it's very customizable. It's very much based on the original show. So what we can do is we can drag these, you can click on them, see what they do, and why don't we just go ahead and start showing these off. You can disable them, you can re-enable them, you can customize it however you'd like. If you'd like the GGO interface, the Gun Gale Online, you can do that. If you'd prefer the SAO interface, you could do that. So let's go ahead and start at the top right. This is the classic view. When I originally showed this off, this was the only view that they had. Since then, of course, they've released the actual show of Gun Gale Online, along with did it start off? I guess it did start off just with Gun Gale. There was like Alfheim Online 2 or something. Regardless, they have the original from Sword Art Online, and every time you click something, it has a little beep. But of course, that could be customized too. You can turn all the sounds off. You can turn specific sounds off. The customizability in this project is wonderful. So go ahead and show this off a little bit. You can right-click it. You can change the order of any of these you'd like. For some reason, that's not exactly. Oh, no, it's not exactly working for me right now. That's unusual. That's okay. Sometimes you got to click away. There we go. Now I can move it now. I guess this one has to be up top. But we can reorder this, move it up, move it down. Okay, so this one does have to be at the top. This could show, right now I'm showing my CPU percentage, but if you have this like on a laptop, for instance, which is what I was originally using when I showed this off, you could have it showing your, say, battery. You could have your CPU usage. You could have your RAM. It could really say about anything you want, because right here we can see you can connect to what they call the Nerve Gear data collection, and it shows CPU usage right now. You could go to battery. I don't have a battery, so I'm not totally sure if it has anything for that in here. It might, but it wouldn't be compatible with my desktop anyway, because it doesn't run on battery. So as you can see, it updates every 1,000 milliseconds. It shows, right now it's showing the inverse value. So instead of saying, okay, your CPU usage is going to be the green bar up here, it's saying the CPU usage is whatever CPU power you have remaining is this big green bar. Whatever you don't have remaining is this little black bar. So it updates every second. There's the value unit. And so we're going to go ahead and check that off. We've taken a look, and you can customize it however you want. You can add a new bar if you'd like. You can just add, say, what do we want to add? Let's go ahead and find the data first, and then we can choose. Say we want, what else do we have around here? Let's see. Well, let's say you want one customized for every single CPU. So you can do that. You can say CPU, update every second, which would be the same as 1,000 milliseconds. Let's go ahead and do inverse value. And so this is just going to check my 0th CPU, which is really the first CPU, but in software and programming and everything, it counts starting from 0. So it'll show my CPU performance. Let's try this, CPU 0. Go ahead and add a hash sign there, or a number sign, or a hashtag for all you young whippersnappers out there. And there we go. We have CPU 0 showing exactly how much CPU we have remaining. We can confirm that if we bring up the task manager. And yeah, it's pretty great there. We can check our CPU usage right here. I know there's a way to separate that to show all 4, but I don't really have time to check that right now. But as you can see, it just shows the full utilization. You can divide this number out, you'd end up with 15%. So there we have this. You can go ahead and remove it. So there's that. There's that classic look that we all love, that we all enjoy. It's very cool. If you're on battery, it shows a little little lightning bolt right there to show that you're charging. Sorry, if you're on a laptop, then you're charging, of course. If you're not charging, it's not going to show anything. So the next thing, we go ahead and we have some widgets around here. Widgets, you can customize them, make them whatever you want them to be. So for example, we have our CPU usage here. Same thing as that. RAM, the exact same thing as we have on this other interface. It's just another way of displaying it. So if you prefer this look over this one, you can just totally turn this one off. You can make the widget just go away, and we'll get to that. We'll mess with the settings later. So overall, it's a very versatile tool that shows all sorts of different methods you can use to display your system information, your weather data, everything to your liking. And we'll get to weather data down here. That's very interesting. But we'll go ahead and check out the widgets. You can add new widgets. You can shut down widgets. Let's say we just wanted to add a new widget. You could just add it right here. I don't think I pushed the button correctly. Can we get a new widget? Maybe not. Maybe not. I haven't had that issue yet, but we'll see if we can. Oh, there it is. It's just in the center. I just didn't see it. My apologies. So you can go ahead and you can edit that widget. Let's say we want this to be another CPU usage, but let's display it differently. So, or we'd have to actually name it. So let's call this me. Choose an image. Let's go desktop, and we can go ahead and set my logo as our image for this. We'll go ahead and remove this one. So I'll show you can also remove these widgets. And of course, it gives you a little warning. Are you sure you want to drop this widget? Sure. So it's very, very cool. It represents the interface of the original show very, very well. And so we can go ahead and add a new row to this. Sorry, not new row. I did not want new row. Come on. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove that row. What we wanted was new item. So we can add it right next to it. And let's say we want a bar chart, for instance. We can choose some data. What data do we want? Let's say we want our overall CPU usage. Just another way to represent it. Why not? Change that to inverse value. You could change it to max value if you'd like. So let's go ahead and change it to CPU performance count. And there we go. We have our CPU performance, but that's a little bit small. It doesn't match this quite exactly. Well, good news is you can right-click that, change resize, and change it to one of the presets. Up here, these are preset to D, so let's just change this to D, and it's the exact same size. Now, you might be wondering, well, Legend, up here, they're all connected. How do we get another one connected to these so we can just drag them all around as one unit? Well, there's a very simple way of doing that. You just choose new row and a random row. We don't have to actually name it, I don't believe, but we can. I can choose the image, change it to, that was the wrong thing to click, this again. And there I have my little shortcut to Cuphead. I can go ahead and put that in this folder. And just call it random, little image of me. And now it's attached to this, and you can go through the exact same steps, add a bar, and everything works out great. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these, remove row. What you can also do is you can add more items to the right of it. So you can do edit item, sorry, not edit item, I apologize, new item, and so I'll add it right there. And so you can change whatever you want, maybe add extra data beyond the CPU. And so we can go ahead and remove that, and there we go. I removed the entire row. My apologies. We can go ahead and just add that back in. Say we want CPU. Finding the exact image would take a while, so I'm not going to go ahead and look for that because it's in the folder. But what we can do is just hit OK. New item next to it. Say CPU. Change it to a bar chart. Choose data. Overall, inverse, and OK. Hit OK. Change the size. It's that easy. Very simple tool, very easy to get the hang of, and the widget system is very, very well implemented. So another tool we have is this. This is a pretty neat one. You can lock it in place. You can get rid of it. You can pin something. I don't exactly know what the pin option does, which is very unusual. You can add a new one if I just wanted to make that, or you could go ahead and remove it if you'd like. Sometimes you got to click off of it to make it actually work properly. Oh, I'm sorry, I was right clicking. You need to left click these. You right click these, but these do require left click, so you can go ahead and get rid of that. So we can left click that, and the main function for these is because it's like the scope tool in Gun Gale Online, is it allows you to search. And so I can go ahead and search for, let's say I want to find my Cuphead game once again. It's because it's wrong directory. Sorry, we need to search this. Cuphead. And it'll go ahead and find my game. So that's wonderful. It allows you to search. You can resize this however you want. You can make it huge if you'd like. Just make that your desktop background, but we can shrink it as well. Make it back to its better size. And that's what that's for. So this is interesting. I really like this. This is customizable. It's your mailbox. You can make it do whatever you want. So for example, you could have this attached to an email address. Put in all of your server information with your username and password, and I would say that this is a trustworthy source. They're not going to be stealing your email username or email password. If you don't trust them, that's totally fine. I understand. I'm not personally putting it there, but mainly because I don't connect to an email client through apps. I just go directly through the web browser, which we'll also show off later, because you can do that through this Utils project. So put that in there if you'd like to. No big deal either way, and you can remove those if you'd like. So let's go ahead and move on to the next thing on our list. We have our weather data down here. We can click and drag that. And so this is the exact same widget as this. The widgets are actually implemented the exact same way, but this just goes to show the different ways that you can display the data that you have. So for this is showing the humidity. So we can go ahead and edit this item. I will say, however, that when you go ahead and open the menu and click on this, it will display not for Dallas, because you have to change that yourself, because it doesn't automatically default to your location. So I'll show you for this one. What it does is right here, it's set for Gongzo. I'm fairly certain I'm mispronouncing that, but you're going to have to change the location to wherever you live. So I'm changing it to Dallas. I'm going to go ahead and change it because it updates every 60 seconds. I don't really want to wait 60 seconds. I want to wait 1 second. And so I recommend leaving this at a little bit of a larger value so your computer doesn't have to check every single second or so for new updates on the weather, because the weather isn't changing that quickly. So we're going to go ahead and change it to 1000, and so that's just going to load, and there it is, 22 degrees Celsius, and you can change it to Fahrenheit. You can change just about anything you want. So this is viewing the temperature, this one is viewing the humidity. So you will have to change those if you're going to go ahead and use this default widget. And so we'll go ahead and move down here to the bottom right. We have another set that's using the exact same system. These are using graphs actually, instead of using our bar charts, they're using histograms. So it shows you kind of how they've been over time. So this is checking the RAM. Another interesting feature that you can add is that here you can click on Edit Item, just like all of these, all formatted the exact same way, all structured the exact same way, but you can get all sorts of different looks just by using these, using these widgets in clever ways. So here I've actually added something unusual. I mine for cryptocurrency with my extra CPU time, extra free time whenever I'm not using my computer for gaming or something like that. And just for the record, I didn't buy a GPU just to mine, so all of you people upset with the GPU shortage, don't be upset with me. I already had this GPU. So you can have it open a file, you can have it open a folder, URL, you can have it run a command, and you can have it run a program. Typically, having it run a program and having it open a file will be the exact same thing, as long as you're opening the program that you have associated with opening that file is actually set as default. So for example, if you have some unusual extension that you would like associated with a certain opening program, for say example, you have a .rar file, you have to make sure that your system is set up so it automatically opens .rar files with WinRAR, and this will go ahead and open it with WinRAR. However, if it's not associated with WinRAR, it's going to try to open it and it's not going to know how. But with the program, it's going to execute it, and it'll only work with actually executable files. So let's go ahead and see this working. I can click that, and just give it a moment. Look at that. It goes ahead and opens up my nice hash miner. I don't have to go into my file system. I don't have to check for anything to make sure it works. So also I've set this one up. So if we look at this, I have this set up to, actually this is something else that I've noticed. I'm not certain about whether or not this totally works. I tried to make it so it operated with commands. So these would be like a CMD. So if you opened up, for example, command prompt, you could be able to say something like that. You could make a new directory. Syntax is incorrect because I didn't actually tell it a new directory to make. I don't want it to build a new directory right now. But anyway, you could have this actually run commands for you. I've actually not been able to get it to work. So I'm not sure exactly the problems there. I've tried all sorts of different commands, but it's not generating, or it's not actually running the commands I send. Maybe I'm just doing it incorrectly. It's totally a possibility. So I'm not going to deny that. So one of these, I had my mail. Oh, now I remember. My mail client was attached to this. Trying to make that work on first try, but it doesn't always. So this you can have it set up. You can either click this little button that you can drag around. I can make it the center of the Vive. I can make it anything, and you can just click that and it'll launch this main menu. It's just like the SAO main splash screen. Though this is interesting because it's not showing what I expected it to. Because normally this shows like the little list of attributes that your character has. So I'm not sure why that's not showing it right now. But it moves along with your mouse, which is very interesting. It looks really neat because the more you move your mouse, it moves in the opposite direction. So we can go ahead, and this is still interactable while that's open, which is not typical, but anyway, it's also set up so you can hold the left mouse button and the right mouse button at the same time and drag down really quickly. As you can see, I'm not exactly a professional at it yet, and it'll go ahead and open up that menu for you. No matter where you are, what you're doing, you could be in a folder, for example, say my games folder. We're going to open up, oh, I'm sorry, it was in my other monitor. Open up my games folder, drag down, and it'll open. It might take a couple tries to get used to it, but you'll get the hang of it eventually. So we can go ahead and do it that way, or we can just open it up like this. So these, you can have them set up however you want. Right here you can have it set up so you can look at things like your different folders, you can look at different options you have. For example, these are just question marks. It'll open up different services that Windows has automatically installed. For example, events will open up my event manager, like right here, or sorry, event viewer, same thing. So it's very, very cool, very, very handy. You can look at, where was it? Items, no, skills, there we go. It'll open up things like your Windows Explorer, your Notepad, your calculator, or your command prompt. So down here, these are all customizable. This has your favorite search engine. I don't know what these are, but you can change them. You can right-click them, you can remove the item, you can move it up and down. You can do just about anything you want. You can change the item. So if I wanted to make this a new URL, so this is the Baidu search engine. If I wanted to make this actually English, I could say Baidu, and I could click on that and it'll open up Baidu, but I'm not going to click on it right now because I have something else to show off. So I can right-click that, I can remove it, and it goes away. So that's super handy. So the question is, what do these do? Well, not that one, you know what that one does, but what do these do if these aren't assigned to anything? How do we change them? Well, you can go ahead and right-click these, you can modify them, and so this is message. So let's say we want to perform an action. Right now, without us clicking action, it doesn't do anything. So what if we do this? Click action, what do we want to do? Let's open a URL. This looks like a messaging setting. Let's have it open up our mail. So I know you guys might hate me for it, but I don't actually use Gmail, I use Yahoo. No real reason, I just do. And so you can have it confirm, and you can have it keep the launcher open afterwards, which just means that this right here in the background, this wouldn't go away after you execute the command. I do want it to go away because once I've executed the command, I'm done with it. Let's go ahead and click that, and I'm going to wait for it to open up. Oh, there we go. Okay, so execute item message. Need to show off that you can change what message it says. So right here, you can change the name to email. Okay, so I can click that, say execute item email. Sure, let's open up email. And right here in Chrome, I have on my other monitor, you can't see it, but it's just opened up to Yahoo. So I'm not going to show you my email address because I don't need to get spammed right now, but maybe eventually. So we've gone through all of these. You can even add and remove these to your content. If I can find it, but yes, I guarantee you can add them. Oh, but also that's interesting. If you try to change the settings, which can't be changed because you'd have another way to really get to the settings, if you right-click it, which is your way of editing things, it says Immortal Object, it can't be edited. So that's great. And go ahead and change the options, and here we have a big list of things we can do. It loops around, so don't be scared. It's not exactly as big as it might seem initially. So let's go ahead and change the appearance, because hold on just a second. I'm looking for something specific. Come on. It takes just a little bit to get you... Oh, it's not opening because I already have this open. If this is open, like something that's already interacting with the interface, it can't actually open the launcher like this. So that's just how that works. Let's go ahead and open up our options. Switch theme. That is what I was looking for, because we can change our theme from Sword Art Online to Gun Gale Online. So let's go ahead and confirm that. It goes away. Now check this out. Also, another interesting thing, it defaults, so if you press Alt and S at the same time, it goes ahead and opens it up anyway. So now we have things like this. It's very interesting. I'll go ahead and open up Yahoo. I don't really want that. And so we can actually see our little character right here with the Gun Gale Online interface. Looks very cool. You can go ahead and switch anything you'd like. I'm going to leave this open for right now, just so you guys can get a little bit of a taste. So these are everything that it has. I'm going to go ahead and open up General. So one thing is, here's the hotkey if you hit Alt and S at the same time. One thing I definitely recommend changing is in, I believe it's appearance. Yes, okay, so when launcher position is automatically set to follow cursor, I highly recommend changing it to fixed and changing that to central, so it always opens up in the center of the screen. Because otherwise, if I click the button down here, it would just show up down here. And that's a bit of a pain, because you can't actually interact with all of the menu when it's down here in the bottom left corner of the screen. So definitely change that to central if you want. You can change the launcher from 2D to 3D. Go ahead and see what that looks like if you'd like. Save that. And here's the 2D launcher. Not quite as interesting, but it still looks very, 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 very good. There are some good things about it, because, for example, this feels a lot more solid than it did before. Let's go ahead and switch that back from appearance to 3D. And we can go ahead and look at all of these other settings before we close it out. And it gives you things like how long it needs to press before it times out. Different tips, because now you have a little interaction system called UI, just like from the show itself. And you can talk to UI. It brings up different options, which it won't bring up right now because I have this window open. You can change your mouse gesture from left key to right key to something else. You can tell it, hey, don't just ignore all of these. So don't actually open it up if you have something running, for example, Steam or a game, so you don't actually accidentally interact with your SAO Utils project in the middle of playing a video game or something like that. So that's about all there is under General. It'll automatically check in for your updates, things like that. You can set a special hotkey if you don't just want to click and drag, or you don't want to click this little button down here. You can have it set up so you do a keyboard combination. So we've already seen this. Shows the launcher position, shows how thick the background is, shows you where your notifications are going to be. Mine was at the bottom right, as you saw with UI. You can change it all the way around the screen. It gives you the startup animation. It gives you your splash screen. It shows like, welcome to SAO Utils project. It shows you how large your 3D effects want to be. It gives you a breathing camera effect, kind of an in and out sort of deal. It shows the camera following the mouse. So as you can see, when I opened up the GGO or SAO interface, what it did was when I moved the mouse to the right, it would move to the left. So it just kind of interacts with the mouse a little bit. There's analog TV. Not totally certain what that is. I'm pretty sure that's if you're working on a CRT, but don't hold me to that. Motion blur, it makes it so when you move it very quickly, it kind of blurs and gives some people less of a headache. So let's go ahead and check out the 3D graphics. This is set up so it interacts with your graphics card correctly. I'm using my 980 Ti Lightning. A great card, highly recommend. Anyway, moving on from there. Got a great deal on it. Here are all the sounds in the Utils project. I think this might be disabled by default, but I'm not certain because I know that I had to click enable sounds, but I don't know if I accidentally clicked it to disable them because it did, it did make sound when I first installed it or downloaded it. I didn't have to install it, but it seemed like it was unchecked, so I don't know if I just accidentally unchecked it or if it just works by default, but I went ahead and checked it and it works just great. So you can go ahead and change all of the plugins. You can disable anything you want. For example, the mailbox, the music player, everything like that. PhD extensions, you can just click one, you can disable it, you can reset it, and there are all sorts of things you can do with them. So we can go ahead and save our changes and just take a look at that. If you want to look at some help, it'll bring up you want to see like a user guide, for instance. It'll bring it up. For some reason in Microsoft Edge, it brings up a nice little, actually it's probably my fault because I think I have HTML pages set default to opening up in Edge for some reason. Maybe because I never have to open up HTML pages in this computer because I would always do it in a virtual machine. So it just says, please look at the site to read the full manual. Unfortunately, of course, we can't actually access the site, or I can't access the site from my IP address. So that's a problem. Also, this is set to be on top always. You can fix that. If I believe you unpin it, I think that'll change it. I'll test that later. So I think I fixed that being on top, and that was the problem we were having earlier. So that's about all there is to explore on this project. It's very, very interesting. And yeah, one more thing you can do in the settings. If you want, you can go ahead and right-click any one of these, except for, of course, this one, because it's an immortal object. But you can right-click any one of these. You can modify what this item does. But what you can also do is you can add another item. You can, of course, move these up and down so they can be in whatever order you want. But an interesting thing beyond removing it is you can add these and make them whatever you want. You can customize it, you can change the name, you can change what it does. If you want it to open something and make it behave like one of your widgets, you can have it have some submenus to actually show some of the different options for different commands you can have it execute, for different programs you can have it run. So you have it really behaving like some of these previous ones, like this one. You can have this submenu right here. So it's a very, very versatile option, very, very versatile project. So this is just another interesting thing you can do with that main menu. It works very, very well. I highly recommend giving it a shot if you enjoy the show. See if you like it. Go ahead and have a taste of how it works. Get rid of some of these. I don't know what this is. It says can't retrieve animation list. I assume it's trying to connect to some site and it can't connect to it. I think there's an option in the settings to get rid of it. I think I might actually be able to get rid of it up here. I don't know. As you can hear, there was a Windows don't do that sound. I'm not exactly sure how to get rid of that. I believe there is an option through the settings. I'll go ahead and keep looking for that. Let you guys know if there's an update. Now we can interact with this again. But yeah, I can't read Japanese. So if anyone else can, I don't know if that's Chinese or Japanese, but if anyone else can read what this says and let me know, I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, there is a way to close this. I'm just not sure. You might have to disable it from the widgets in the options. But beyond that, there's not that much more to say. It really has three main functions. The three main functions being A, it has your main OG, I guess you could call it, SAO interface bars. It has your custom widgets, which are very interesting. I guess you could say 3, because now it has these little widget buttons. And 4, you have your main SAO or GTO options when you pull down, when you hit that little button in the corner that just disappeared. Oh, also this seems to no longer be on top, so I think we did unpin it. Or you could use your hotkeys that you set up. So beyond that, that's about everything there is to this. I would personally give it, if you're a fan of the show, definitely give it a shot. I'll give it, say, it's very tough for me to give this a rating because I gave it a 10 out of 10 before. At this point, I don't know if I can say the same thing just because it's no longer as applicable to me as it once was, because now the show's gotten kind of old. It's a few years old now. So I don't exactly have a perfect rating to give it. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 just because I really, really enjoy the concept. It's very, very well made. I think that with a little more playing around, you could become a master at this. It's very, very easy to get a hold of. So just try to understand everything it says. It's all about it takes. Just read some of the things about it. And so it's very simple, very easy to get your hands wrapped around it. And so I say, if you're a fan of the show or this just seems interesting to you, go ahead and give this system a shot. It works great, it's super customizable, and they've been working on it for years, and they've been doing a great, great job. So that's about all I have to say about the SAO Utils project. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions, any concerns, if anything doesn't work for you. and I'd be totally glad to help you out. I respond to every comment left for me. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm so glad I got to do another review/tutorial on how to use this user guide sort of thing. First time in 3 years I've done one of these. So it's great. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you guys too. I hope you learned something, and I hope that some of you have become inspired to go ahead and give this a shot, pick it up, and see if you like it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.